everyone, this is Lucas from Enviral Design, and this is video number 7 in the GeoPix LED Pixel Mapper walkthrough guide. So, in this video I want to talk about the Automator, which is the second to last tab we'll be talking about, and the last main big feature in GeoPix. The Automator is basically a tool that allows you to build playlists out of smart clips that can play and run autonomously. So this allows you to use GeoPix to run, say, an art installation or automate a light show that you don't have to necessarily be hands-on in operating. You can build chains of smart clips into one playlist. You can chain multiple playlists together that go back and forth and repeat between each other. You can set a playlist to repeat X number of times. Lots of different things. And so in the UI here, we have the timeline, we have some timeline editing tools, we have clip attributes, which these are basically allowing you to set per clip modifiers that affect performance mode. So basically Automator literally automates the performance mode. So that's why you have access to some of these things like clip speed, duration, red, green, blue keying, and of course all the effects, which really makes this a lot more powerful. Down here we have a little preview of the art installation piece. It's the same preview you see here, which is also the same preview you see here, but from a front view only. Here we have our playback controls, pretty simple: play, pause, reset, back to beginning. Refresh tiles does the same thing as refreshing here, and what it does is it refreshes your drag and drop palette here of smart clips. We'll come back to that. Turn off preview. This is great to turn off when you're ready to actually run your system and you want that extra little bit of performance. This will give you maybe like another frame or two a second. Here we have saving and loading, browsing, and visualizer, just our utilities. And here we have our repeating settings. So basically this applies to our current playlist, how many times it repeats, and we'll come back to that here in a second too. So first let's dive into the outliner. So controls are very simple. Again, if you want to have any help while using the software, just hold Q and hover over things, or of course open up the help pane for the Automator. So right click and drag will allow you to pan inside your viewport here. Middle mouse click and drag will scale your timeline. So these clips are 3 seconds a piece, very short, but if you're working with minutes or hours, you can scale things down so you can see everything kind of in one area without scrolling forever. So we have some controls up here, and this is probably your go-to. Every time you want to add a clip to the end, just hit this button, it adds to the end, and it gives you a blank template clip with nothing in it. So the way to assign a clip is very simple. We just click Browse Clips, and we can find the clip we want, and we just drag it into this tile. Note that if you're dragging, when you drop, it actually just drops it into whatever you have selected. So if I have this selected and drop this here, it's still going to get assigned here. So see, after that we've got add to left and right. So if you want to insert a clip into the middle of your timeline somewhere, just select a clip. You can click add to left, add to right, and it puts an empty clip right here. So that's how that works. You have the trash can, which deletes currently selected. And then we have movement buttons up here. So if you have a clip selected and you want to swap it with the one to its left, you can do that. You can swap to the right, you can move to the beginning, or you can move to the end. So different ways to shuffle things around. Okay, so let's talk about the attributes. So each of these tiles has a set of attributes down here. You can see they're updating as we click on different attributes. So basically you have duration and fade length, two most basic attributes. This will basically set the length of your clip in seconds to different lengths, and then fade length is how many seconds that you have transitioning between one clip to the next. So here we have our first clip, right? So it's 5 seconds long, which says that right here, and it starts at 0, ends at 5. So we have a fade length of 0 because we're not fading from anything before it's the first clip, so there's no need for a fade length. So here, the second clip, we have a fade length of 1, which is default. And if we increase this, we see that our second clip actually shifts to the left. It overlaps the clip before it by this number of seconds, and the red line represents the fading curve going between left and right. So what does this actually do? If you'll jump back over here, you'll see that we actually have these two clips loaded in our left and right deck. And the way Automator works is it literally automates the performance engine. So if I were to go ahead and play this, you'll see various controls automating as we go through our playlist. So if you're clicking and dragging inside of a clip with your left mouse button, you can scrub the time slider here, this little green triangle, or I'm sorry, diamond, and you can kind of see the transition happening here. Of course, if you want to open your visualizer, you can put this in another monitor and get a bigger visual, and you can of course turn on your light simulation and all that good stuff as well. So moving on from duration and fade length, we have clip speed. Clip speed is pretty straightforward. If you remember here, we have this slider that adjusts the speed of the clips, and that does exactly that. We can set a higher clip speed for this one, but then the other clips surrounding it will still remain at their default of 0.273 because that's what we had them set to. So if we play, you'll notice that clip speed increases smoothly, I might add, with the fade curve, which is this red curve here. In other words, it's interpolated from one setting to the next. So all of your things will fade over the duration of your clip fade length. All these settings will, except of course the binary buttons and stuff. If it's a 0 to 1 button, like on or off, it will just simply turn on right at the beginning of the clip and turn off right at the end. So that is worth noting as well. Usually when you're dealing with long clips, like several minutes a piece, these won't matter too much if your fade lengths are short, because in the grand scheme of things, the transition will be short. You won't be covering up too much of that clip anyways. Effect tempo is allowing you to manually specify a tempo, so this is useful if you're doing effects that require faster tempos. Red, green, blue. These are simply adjusting the red, green, blue sliders here. So if we were to reset and play, you can see these sliders adjust themselves with Performer, or with the Automator in real time. So all these things kind of work the same way. We can, of course, do that just to show you with effects. We can turn on rainbow for this clip. Reset time and play. You'll see that our rainbow activates and then deactivates. So all the effects work this way. We could use this jam 1 if we wanted to. Jam 1 is the blue pulses of the circle pulses. So that's basically how that works. These are all attributes per clip that can be modified. Okay. So next we have our playlist settings up here. These are very simple, just one option. How many times we want our playlist to repeat. So if we reset time, set this, let's go ahead and shorten this. Let's get rid of this clip. So we just have 6 seconds, actually 5 seconds of clips. And if this is set to 0, our playlist will basically reset to the beginning and stop. So actually let's add one more, make this 3 seconds. Let's make this one black, so it's off essentially. You can make it 2, it's fine. Let's go ahead and put something different here. Alright, so first let's go and show you -1 is infinite repeats. So if we have -1 set as we play through our playlist, it will loop back to the beginning and just keep doing this forever. So what is anything else does, we set it to 0. Once it gets to the end of the clip, it'll go back to the beginning and it'll stop. So to use this effectively, you probably want to have kind of a null dummy clip in the beginning with a black clip, or maybe a constant, but probably black if you want to have it appear to be off. So, you know, a way to fade into this more carefully, of course, would be to add another clip to the end. Make this one black as well, maybe 2 seconds. And so it fades back into black, and then when it reaches the end, it just stops here. So it's a perfectly smooth transition, and then it stops here. So if you're running an art installation, and by the way, the playback controls, basically the only 2 playback controls that you can map in this entire window are play, pause, and reset, which is why these OSC and MIDI mapper windows are available in this tab. So if you have a MIDI controller, or more conveniently for art installations, maybe you have Touch OSC on your phone and you have a small router with the computer, it's all tucked away in a box somewhere and sealed off from the weather and from people for an art installation, and say day is passing and night is coming and you want to turn on your art installation, you can just pull out your phone, connect to the network, and hit the button that is assigned to reset, and then the one that's assigned to play. And if you have your timeline set up like this, it will start from black and fade and loop and go through its entire thing until it reaches the end. And it's good. So you don't have to get into your box. You can leave things tucked away and operate it wirelessly, which is very, very convenient. So if we have this set to 0, as I explained, it goes back to the start and ends. If you have this set to 1, all that means is it's going to loop once until it stops. So just to show you. And you'll notice up here next to the actual field, we have a text that shows you how many are left. If you reset time, this goes back to -1, which is incorrect, but it's really going to be 1 because it goes back to 0 after that. Looks like we have a bug there. Well, that'll be fixed in the next release, but do know that the repeating actually works as intended there. Interesting. Okay, so the field updates when you change the field, not when you hit reset, but that'll be fixed. Anyways, so this next field here, this drop down, is very useful if you have multiple playlists, if you want to organize things that way. When this playlist finishes, let's go and set this to 0 so you can see. It'll loop through, it'll get to the end, and then it'll load the next playlist automatically. And this is something we've already created and saved to disk. And this playlist was saved with a 1 in the field, so this playlist will loop twice technically, and when it reaches the end, it will go to the 1 specified here, which is next. So basically, you're just chaining together smart clips into one big chain. You could keep this simple and have 2 playlists, and one could loop to, so you could have A and B. A could go to B, then B could go to A, and you could kind of infinitely go like this. Now, if you just have 2, you could also just put all that in the one playlist and have it repeat infinitely, but you have ways to organize your playlists this way, and you can chain them together if you want. So you could make a big chain, and the last one could just be reset to black, or reset to beginning at the end, and it could stop. This would be a good way to start a scheduled playlist that goes for an hour, for example, and then at the end you want it to fade to black and automatically stop. This would be a good way to start something that needs to run all night, but then will end itself at a certain time without your intervention, and you can just let it sit until the next time you come and check out your computer or whatever. So as you'll see here, it gets to the end and next clip is loaded, or next playlist is loaded. And so I think I have these these example playlists set up right now to just kind of go in a triangle looping infinitely. So there's no need to bore you with that anymore, but that is essentially how that works. So let us clear our current playlist, and let's just add a couple quick tiles here. Okay, let's say we've made this playlist and we want to save this. So we have a field here where we can type in a name. We can type it RGB. And after that, you can see RGB will show up in our playlists list here. So if we hit this, we can load it. Of course, it's already present, so we have to load something else. We can bounce back, and then lo and behold, it loads there. So let's pick another playlist. We can choose RGB from the Auto Next playlist. So if you want this playlist to loop into RGB when we're done, we can do that. So it repeats to 0, so after it gets to the end of this, it should immediately go into RGB. So there you have it. That is the Automator. As I mentioned, you can auto map just like you do in Performer mode, play, pause, and reset. These are the two things you pretty much would need to operate remotely once you're ready to commit a playlist or a group of playlists to run autonomously. And that's about it. Remember, there's help, there's hold, Q, and hover, and that just about covers it. Thanks a lot, and stay tuned for the next video. It's the last video, at least in this series, which will be covering settings. There's not a whole lot to say here, just want to go through everything and kind of reiterate on what they do and talk about some of the mapping features that go with ArtNet. So thanks a lot.